The Salvation Army is feeding airport workers who now have missed 2 paychecks. The group is used to serving communities hit by natural disasters, but its leaders say the shutdown has created a different kind of disaster.
We first became aware of the situation last Thursday. We started serving our first meal Friday afternoon. When we think of someone who's experienced a disaster or a crisis, we think in terms of a natural disaster. The bottom line is, having been out here, seeing faces every day, what I've realized is that there are folks who work every day full-time and for 33 days now have not received any income. That's a disaster for those individuals and for their families.
I am joined now by Commissioner David Hudson of the Salvation Army. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us of the need that you're seeing today?
Well, the needs that we normally serve around the country of emergency services, we've seen elevated by the increased number of workers that have been impacted by this shutdown.
Do you have enough resources? Meaning, we talked about how you really come into key when there's natural disasters, but this isn't something that certainly we talked about it, but we couldn't have imagined it would go on for 35 days.
No. And, you know, the Salvation Army serves people all the time that are forced into crises, financial crises, not of their own doing. What makes it this one unusual is the sheer number of people that we're experiencing regular paychecks, and then all of a sudden now 2 paychecks in a row not receiving. And a lot of these people do not make lots of money to even start with.
Are you having to find some of these families, meaning, is it hard for them to ask for help? Like you said, they may not make a lot of money in the first place, but they were certainly making ends meet. They could certainly feed their families, and they perhaps were having a comfortable standard of living, right? A nice life. And now they don't have that luxury. Do you sort of have to seek them out at this time?
Yeah, you do it on a number of ways, and you're right. People don't want to go to organizations like the Salvation Army for assistance. And that's why even this interview, to let people know that have been impacted by this disaster, that organizations like the Salvation Army are willing and able to help them through this personal crisis that they're facing.
You're getting a lot of people who, let's say, have kids and they need to be fed. I'm curious, do you have enough resources? If we don't get good news today, let's say it goes on another 35 days, I'm looking forward here, worst case scenario, can you continue to help these families?
Well, as any disaster, we have to rely on the American public to rise up and help, as they have time and time again in areas of maybe natural disasters. And so the Salvation Army, to make sure that we're able to at least get the initial services going, have released some reserve money that we are fortunate to have at this time of year. We come through Christmas, and we have reserves that we built up in order to serve people around the calendar throughout the year. Well, we've had to now expend some of these funds earlier than we had anticipated, and at a higher rate than we have anticipated. And so to meet the initial is fine, but to ongoing is a real concern.
Okay, well, let's say we have folks at home who want to help out. How can they help you? Can they, do you accept donations aside from monetary? Could people bring you food? What could they do?
Well, I would encourage them to contact their local Salvation Army, find out what exactly that they're providing. But food is always needed. Non-perishables, donating food to our food pantries in order to meet these needs and the needs of other people. That will certainly be deplenished because of the increased demand right now.
All right, Commissioner David Hudson, thank you so much for joining us. We're thinking of all those families, and hopefully we get some good news today, sir.
Thank you, and that's our prayer as well.